Greetings, my friends. Welcome to Sustainability Sermon number 3. Today's topic was born of an observation of mine that I made a couple years ago, and it was based on the fact that when I started to do a garden in my yard, I noticed that the soil was extremely amenable to gardening. And suddenly it occurred to me that, yes, of course, my yard is in the floor of the Rio Grande Valley, which was the breadbasket of the Southwest. The people a long time ago used to plant the entire floor of the valley in corn, and they would send it to all parts of the Americas. In South America, they'd trade it for feathers and macaw feathers and other ornamentals and other things that were available, and then it was sent north and traded for buffalo meat and all sorts of things. So this was land that had a long agricultural history and had been worked primarily for agriculture. In the old days, what the people did is they lived over on the riverbanks, and in the morning they'd come down, work the fields, and then in the evening they'd go back up and spend the evening with the family and take care of family business and ceremonies and all the other things that are part of traditional life and sustainable life. Well, somewhere along the line, somebody introduced the concept of property ownership. Well, of course, the people wanted to grab up the most productive property, and that meant grabbing up the floor of the valley, which was the primary agricultural land, which in itself wasn't a problem, and it remained agricultural for many, many years. However, an insidious thing started to happen, and it went something like this. The parents had children, and they then, of course, broke up their large farmland into smaller parcels so that their children could have parcels. And then those children broke up their parcels into smaller parcels until the parcels reached the size of the parcel that I'm sitting on. And it honestly is only big enough for my house and garden. And, of course, the kiva and a few other odd things. But still yet, it is not exactly what I would call a farm acreage scenario. Now, this is the problem, because what happened is some of the people that didn't keep their property as farmland sold it off to be turned into apartment complexes and then storefronts and finally big box stores like the Walmart. And so right now the Walmart store and the Walmart parking lot are sitting on the most productive agricultural property in the whole state, and that's the floor of the Rio Grande Valley. Well, this is an observation of mine, that now people who want to farm are trying to farm the less perfect areas. They're going to try to turn sandy soil into farmland, hilly soil into farmland, rocky soil into farmland, because somebody paved over the most productive farmland in the whole community. And I think that this has to be considered for the future. And if we're going to be sustainable, we have to think about maintaining that farmland that is suitable for farmland as farmland. Now, if we think of farmland, arable land, as common property, much like the ancestors did, because they didn't have the concept of property ownership. If you worked the property, it was you could, and when you stopped working it, somebody else started working it. Perhaps this kind of thing wouldn't have happened. Now, I'm not against property ownership. I think it's perfectly okay for people to own the hilly land and the rocky land and the sandy soil and all of that, which is not amenable to to farming, and they can deed that out to anybody and turn it into parking lots and anything else they want to do, and that's just fine. But I think a community should maintain its farmland in common, much like you hold air in common. You don't let anybody own the air, and you don't let anybody own the water. I don't think you should let anybody own arable farmland. It should be held in common. My modest proposal goes something like this: consider agricultural land as commons, the same as you do air and water and all the other things that we consider common. Now, to manage the commons, I propose something like having a corporation that is owned by the entire community. That means that every member of the community has an equal share in that corporation. So that way, if the directors of the corporation start to lead the property or any of the other common properties astray, the shareholders can come together. That means the whole community, and redirect the corporation back to its primary concern of being a service to the community as a whole. I hope that this observation can help you. I know it's too late for me to try and convince my brothers and neighbors to give up their property back to farmland and try to move up into the banks of the river and try to take up residence in the sandy soil that it is, and anyway, it would be very difficult at this point in time. However, I feel that it is very possible for those starting up new sustainable communities to, from the very beginning, realize that this is something that has to be considered. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to remain sustainable for a long period of time. I hope my observation was able to serve you in some way. And until next time, I wish you all blessings and beauty.